related to a specific problem. The problem is 84 divided by 3 times the quantity of 4 plus 3. The order of operations is represented by 4 steps. The first step involves the grouping symbols known as parentheses or brackets in some countries. Then we look for exponents, also called indices or orders, sometimes powers of in some countries. And if we don't see any of those, we solve them if they're there. If they're not, we move down the line. After exponents, there's 3 steps involving the operation steps of multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Confusion starts, though, when some people incorrectly assume that multiplication and division do not have equal precedence. The steps are as follows. You have parentheses, exponents, multiplication or division left to right. They have equal precedence. And then you have step 4, addition or subtraction left to right, and those have equal precedence. So here's a basic rundown. Multiplication is just repeated addition. You can think of multiplication as shorthand for addition. It therefore has priority over addition and subtraction. And subtraction you can think of as just adding a negative number. So it's really the same thing as addition. Addition and subtraction have equal precedence. Division is equivalent to multiplying by a reciprocal. So therefore multiplication and division have equal precedence. Exponents are simply another shorthand for repeated multiplication. So exponents have precedence over multiplication and division. And then finally, up at the top, you have parentheses, which are just grouping symbols. They're not necessary. If you don't have them, you move down to the other steps. The order of operations convention makes a lot of sense, and it's far from being some arbitrary convention just made up for no reason other than to make one up. So again, we go back to 84 divided by 3 times the quantity 4 plus 3. We're going to start by solving inside the parentheses. So 4 plus 3 equals 7. Then you're going to solve multiplication and division left to right as we encounter them. So remember, again, multiplication and division have equal precedence. So 84 divided by 3 is 28. Then you have multiplication. So 28 times 7 is 196. Remember, the 7 was what was in the parentheses. Now, I know already there's going to be a lot of comments. I get these all the time. There'll be comments trying to tell me that multiplication comes before division or something else. They looked at PEMDAS and they said PEMDAS told them, hey, M is before D. Or, they saw something on Reddit or Quora. But you got to realize you got to watch out where you get your information because Reddit and Quora, anybody can comment there. You can't take that stuff as truth. As a matter of fact, don't take what I say as truth. Go look up the Khan Academy, Khan, the Khan Academy. They're well respected. They've got really good videos online, much better than anything I could do. And go look up order of operations with them and get a good lesson. Um, so, what's another way you can check this problem out again to verify it? So, hey, you can replace the division with equivalent multiplication. Just think of 84 divided by 3 is the same thing as saying 84 times 1/3. So let's do that. And we're basically going to have just multiplication and addition now. So even if you believe that multiplication comes first, let's do it. 84 times 1/3 times the quantity 4 plus 3. You solve inside the parentheses, you're going to get, again, you're going to have the 7, and then you're going to have 84 times a third times 7. So you're going to have 28 times 7 is 196. And again, remember, multiplication is always implied. When you see something like 28 next to like a 7 in parentheses, they're implying multiplication between those two numbers. Now, you'd have to explain your reasoning for why you might think multiplication preceded addition, or division, I should say. I'm suspecting a lot of times this reasoning occurs because a lot of people memorized a 6-letter acronym like PEMDAS and assumed it was a literal checklist. It's just a 6-letter acronym for a 4-step convention, which is known as the order of operations. So when you assume multiplication precedes division, you're going to end up with an answer of 4, which doesn't jive when you see what I just did by replacing the division with equivalent multiplication. I got 196 when I did that. And once again, 84 divided by 3 is no different than saying 84 times a third. So if you see what I did there, and you're thinking multiplication comes before division, I basically just shot that belief to pieces with it by showing you that. So, and I already know about this odd convention that's known as multiplication by juxtaposition or implied multiplication, where some are going to claim that the answer is 4 because there's no multiplication symbol outside of the parentheses. That's a whole nother matter. I'm not going to get into that here. It's a kind of an odd convention that has kind of been used in the past and by some people, but it really, kind of flies in the face of, following strictly to order of operations. So my main point here in this video is to say you cannot claim an answer of 4 and solely base that on PEMDAS, BODMAS, BIDMAS, or BEDMAS. All of those acronyms describe the same 4 steps of order of operations. And so if you're following order of operations as you should, that's what's been taught forever. Those 6-letter acronyms are just different acronyms used in different English-speaking countries, but they all represent the same 4 steps. So my basic point in the whole video is just to try to understand the concepts and the reasoning behind order of operations, and just don't rely on a bad interpretation of an acronym. Don't memorize 6 letters and then swear that BODMAS says that division's before multiplication, or say PEMDAS tells you, multiplications before division. Don't rely on that kind of bad learning. That's just rote memorization with no understanding of the concept. So I'm hoping this has been helpful for somebody.